Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you again. Black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today is a very special episode because right now, as I'm recording this podcast, CES is on. So, of course, we are going to talk about all of the new and innovative things that are happening at the conference. And for those of you that don't know, CES is hosted by the Consumer Technology Association for the past 50 years, and it is basically where everyone gets to come and talk about all the new consumer tech that will be coming out in the following year. The reason I am so excited to do this podcast is because I just did a technology podcast where we talked about what would possibly be coming out in the following year, over the following decade as well. So it is super interesting to now have some proof and a little bit of background knowledge to what will actually be coming out. And also, guys, obviously I've already looked at the list of what we'll be discussing today, and I want to encourage you to go listen to the podcast where I talk about the worst inventions of the decade, because oh gosh, I don't want to spoil anything, but definitely stop listening right now and go listen to that one if you haven't already, because there's some stuff on this list that is just too ironic. It's too delicious not to have the background knowledge of it. So also, if you're not, definitely subscribe to this podcast so that you can listen to all of the episodes I have done and write a review down below, because I love hearing from you guys and I love getting suggestions on what I should talk about next. So definitely go and subscribe and reach out through social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I love engaging with you guys over there as well. So I thought it would be a ton of fun to take a look at what are some of the new inventions that have been released at the conference and talk about some of the styles and trends and new ideas that are going to be coming out later this year. The first one being the Samsung Bali. All right, first of all, let's just take a moment and a round of applause for Samsung for getting in on this home device bandwagon. Everyone has one. We talked about in other podcasts how Google and Apple and Amazon are all joining forces together to make it a better product. And now Samsung is also trying to really just deliver a great product to us consumers. I won't lie though, this one freaks me out a little bit. It is a ball that rolls around has cameras attached. It follows you. It watches you, almost like your own personal assistant that is physically there rather than Alexa, who is just a voice in the sky. This is super great. It is super wonderful that Samsung is joining on the bandwagon, as I've already said. But I ain't gonna lie to you. It freaks me out. Having a little yellow ball follow me around would terrify me. So this product is not for those who get scared easy, but it is definitely for someone who loves the new and best in technology, because this is definitely going to be how the world works from now on. So super great that Samsung is trying to find a new and innovative way. So super great that Samsung is trying to find a new and innovative way to show this product. The Dell Alienware Concept UFO. So this is for all my gamers out there that loved the Nintendo Switch, but just wished it maybe had a little bit of a better screen, or maybe there were just things you didn't love about the product that you thought you might. Dell is now releasing their own version of this gaming console that has removable controllers, a screen that flips open for you. You can adjust the tripod. It has a kickstand. So definitely a really great product and a really fun product if you liked to game on the go. All right, guys, this is the one that is the reason I wanted you to go and listen to This next one is the reason I wanted you to go listen to the Worst Technology of the Decade podcast before coming back, because I said on there that thank goodness the 2010s were over because we could say goodbye to Segways. But no, the Segway S-Pod was released at CES. And listen, if you're using this for any sort of medical reason, I'm not making fun of it. But I cannot wait to see Segway S-Pod's tours going around Hawaii and Mexico, or even Seattle where I live, because I still see Segway tours there all the time. Because it's basically just a Segway that you get to sit down on instead of stand on. And it has a joystick to control it instead of your body weight. So I was wrong. I'm sorry. It looks like Segways are here to stay. And you know what? The first Segway S-Pod tour that I see in Seattle, I'm going to take, and I'm going to vlog it for you guys, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Segways are a whole lot of fun, and this is going to be a really great product, and it's going to totally change the world. I'm just afraid that is a little too much like WALL-E. If you guys remember the scene where everyone's just riding around in their floating chairs, I'm a little worried it's too far in that direction. So the next one is the Core Meditation Trainer. So for those of you that are super into the tech world but understand the importance of taking a step away from it all to focus on yourself, to focus on what's important outside of the screens, this piece of tech is for you. We all understand how hard it can be to meditate, and just like a simple hello from your neighbor or the cat scratching at the door can totally wreck your meditation zone. So what the Core Meditation Trainer is designed to do is it is a little piece of tech that you hold, and it vibrates, and it's attached to an app that can give you health details, meditation details, and the idea is that it's going to help train your mind and train your body to be able to meditate in a more productive and simple way. So definitely a product to look out for if you are interested in upping your meditation game. The Acer Concept 7 easel. This is a laptop that folds in on itself in the same way an easel does. I once reviewed laptops on this podcast, and we talked a lot about the ones that fold into iPads, that sort of hybrid look. But the Acer Concept D7 easel is really supposed to have amazing graphics and make it really look like a painting easel, or can really help you design beautiful and incredible pieces of art through this laptop. And you can still use it as an actual laptop as well. So I think this is a super great idea and a super great concept that I'd be excited to try out if I got the chance. The Complay Patel. I might be saying that last word wrong, and I apologize. The reason I wanted to include this on the list is because sex tech was actually banned from last year's CES, but this year they totally controlled the conference. They came out with so many new and innovative pieces of tech that it was all anyone could talk about at the conference. And that's kind of amazing that, they went from being banned to totally rocking it. And the Complay Patel is a sex toy that allows both partners to utilize together by stimulating your fun parts. I won't go too far into it because this is a tech podcast. We do have a sex podcast, though, if you want to go listen to it, the GSMC Sex Podcast. So definitely check that out. I'm sure they'll be talking about it over there. But I don't know. It's kind of amazing that they got banned from last year's conference and now they totally owned it. So good for you, sex tech. Good for you. The Hydra Loop Water Recycler. So this is so important, and I'm so glad that it's on our list today, and I'm so glad that it was released at CES, and I'm so glad that other similar products also were. It cleans water. It helps it, and honestly, tech is supposed to innovate the world. It is supposed to change the world. So I'm so excited to always see inventions like this being made that will help us all. Like, it's not just something you can use by yourself. This is something that is going to help the world. It's going to help humankind. It is going to help the environment. So, amazing invention. Definitely go look it up. The Samsung Zero TV. So this is a vertical TV. It's super interesting because, as we all know from inventions like TikTok and even just YouTube, everything is done on a vertical screen now. So it can be super annoying to have to like hold your camera horizontally, and the video is so small then. The Samsung Zero TV is a vertical TV. It gives you that widescreen look, or the big screen look that we all really love with our TVs, but it's a vertical one, so it accommodates that vertical entertainment. The Roland Go live cast. Maybe I'm just a nerd who liked this and deserved it and thought it deserved to be on the top 30 list. But I definitely think it is super fun and super great because it allows you to record things like podcasts and videos on the go with your mobile device. That is something I can appreciate as someone who obviously does this podcast and creates a lot of other content. It's just a little video and audio measurer that you can carry around, fits in your pocket, and it's just super handy and super great. Along with that, the Moon Ultra is also another great piece of tech for those who are creating content on the go, or even for those who really just love taking photos with their cell phone. It is a tiny little light that you attach to your phone. It has a bunch of different settings so that you can have warm and cool or shadowed lighting. So it's definitely a fun piece of tech because, yes, I just talked about how important cleaning our water supply is too. But tech is also supposed to be fun, and this invention, the Moon Ultra, is definitely a whole lot of fun, and I will definitely be getting one once it hits the stores. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we are going to take a look at some more of the inventions that were released at CES. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquush, and I will be right back.
This week on the Fundamentals Report, we look at one industry sector that will noticeably outperform the cannabis green rush. Investing in high-growth trend is proven to be one of the best ways to build wealth, and although the cannabis sector has proven successful for many investors, there is one industry sector that is set to significantly outperform cannabis. This same sector is the focus of giants such as Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and innovative content and technology leader Real-Time VR, trading as RLTR. Virtual reality is the highly disruptive technology which is quickly becoming part of all consumers' lives and will impact almost every major industry sector. Over the next few years, VR will begin to realize its potential with an estimated 171 million active VR users, generating nearly $121 billion in sales. For more information on VR and other stories, visit thefundamentalsreport.com.
Do you work in the world of marketing and advertising? Are you a media buyer or the owner of an agency? Have you been looking for a podcast to help stay on top of all the goings-on of those worlds? The GSMC Marketing News Podcast is dedicated to keeping you up to date on all things concerning marketing and advertising. Get the latest marketing news, from what major businesses have planned for the coming year, to the newest trends in advertising, from podcasts, digital and streaming, to the old standbys of radio, television, and billboards. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast has you covered, whether you're a marketing agent or a business trying to expand your brand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and thank you for joining me today. On today's podcast, we are talking about all of the new and innovative technologies that were released at the CES conference this past weekend. It took place on January 7th to January 10th. So just finishing up today if this podcast is released on January 10th. And we're talking about some of the top 30 or under 30 best products that were released at the conference. Before the break, we talked about the Samsung Bali, which is a little home device that follows you around, that controls all of your, heating and electricity. It's basically like the Amazon Echo or the Google Home, but from Samsung, and it's a little ball that will follow you around instead. We also talked about the Hydroloop water recycler, which I think is so important because it's recycling water. It is doing good for the world, and it is a piece of technology that is just what technology really should be focused on, or what is so great about technology is that we get to invent things like this, and we get to help the world with what we're inventing and how we're being innovative. We also talked about the Come Play Patel. I didn't get into too many details about what this piece of tech really does, but we did talk about how sex tech was banned from last year's conference, and this year totally took over everything and was what everyone was talking about. So super interesting to see that side of things. And if you're interested in learning more, check out our sex podcast on the GSMC network. I'm sure they'll be talking about it over there as well. So now that we're back from our break, let's talk about some other tech products that were released at CES. So the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Fold. I found this super interesting because if you listen to my other podcast where we talked about what were the technology trends and technology inventions that we would be seeing in 2020, I talked about a lot of things being folded and a lot of new pieces of tech coming out that would be folded or flippable rather than just one screen. And obviously that trend prediction was correct because Lenovo has released this ThinkPad that does fold onto itself. So, I was wrong about segways, but I was right about the ThinkPad being folded. So, not too shabby for a technology podcast host to just throw assumptions out there about inventions. So the next one is the Samsung Odyssey G9 monitor. So for those of you gamers out there, or maybe you computer programmers, you definitely understand the day-to-day issue of having 3 different monitors simultaneously all hooked up to each other so that you can split screen between the 3 of them, but they're super chunky and super they get in the way, and there's 3 separate ones, there's 3 separate plugs, and just, real first world problems here. But the Samsung Odyssey G9 monitor is one that will combine all 3 monitors together to really create that half dome look around your laptop. That way you don't need 3 separate monitors, you just have one big one that is sort of circular around you. So super cool and super sleek to look at. The Joyu music instrument. I just thought this was fun. I thought it was a super fun and innovative way to make music. It is basically a piece of technology that allows you to turn any of the devices into any instrument, and you can create an entire 12-piece ensemble band with one screen. So that's super cool, super innovative, and I can't wait to see who starts actually producing music on this. Maybe albums in the coming decade will only be produced through this piece of technology, which would be super interesting and super innovative. The Lenovo ThinkBook Plus. This is a combination iPad, laptop, Kindle, ThinkPad, calendar, just basically everything you would ever want on a laptop, on your phone, on your desktop, whatever it may be, all in one. And it's super compact, super easy to use, and super stylish. I'm definitely a really big fan of this. I'm just a big fan of whatever Lenovo puts out, honestly, with their ThinkPads and their ThinkBooks. Everything is just super stylish and super sleek looking. So definitely some really great products coming from them. The Dimension Robotics Dr. Cairo Guys, we talked about the water thing being so important, but so is this. This is a piece of tech that is going to help stroke victims recover a little bit faster so that they don't have to pay for expensive medical bills to see specialists and all this. It is a piece of tech that stimulates the muscles using this robotic arm, and is going to help a lot of people do a lot more things with their life. And honestly, it is just so amazing and so incredible to see tech come to such a place like this, and for us to be innovating and inventing pieces of tech that are gonna help us all. Not all of us, because we don't, that is gonna help the world. The PAX Era Pro Vaporizer. So this is a vaporizer that is going to give you facts about what you're vaping. It's super small and super compact. Basically, it'll tell you how much oil, how much product, how much consumption you're smoking in a day. Basically, it is just like a little reminder of what you're doing and what you're putting in your body, so that you can stay informed and you can stay educated. Super important in the world that we're living in, that we always have all of the knowledge and all of the content that we can get, so that we can make smart and educated decisions about what we're putting into our body. The Roshan one. So I know I already talked about water, and this is not another water cleaner. This is just a water filter that you put in your home, and it helps reduce the use of water bottles because it does filter all of your water, and it looks super sleek. I mean, I have a Brita that I use, but this is a very sleek looking piece of tech that you can put on your counter, and it'll look super nice and super stylish. So I might be getting one of these if my Brita stops working any day now, or if I just, if it's gifted to me, I would definitely use it, because we could all use a little bit cleaner water, and to stop using water bottles would be really, really great. The Roshan one. So this is a car that is apparently the most eco-friendly car on the market right now. They are using vegan leather on the interior. It is electric powered. They use recycled material to make the actual car. And so people are super excited about this Fisker Ocean. Did I say Fisker Ocean? The Fisker Ocean car is apparently the most eco-friendly car on the market right now. They use vegan leather on the seats, and it is made out of recycled car parts. It is an electric car. So definitely cool and definitely exciting to have that come up in the technology world. I'm sure if we could all afford it, we would all buy a Fisker Ocean. I know I would, because the car itself actually does look super cool and super sleek. So I'm super excited to see more cars like this come out in the future. So the LG Old ZX Real 8K TV. This is a beautiful TV that recently came out that is all voice command. It came out at CES, obviously, and it is voice commanded so that you can watch whatever you want, whenever you want, without having to worry about a remote or wires or anything like that. So super cool, super innovative, and it looks super sleek. So another great product to come out of CES. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take our final break of the podcast. But when we come back, we will talk about the top 5 final inventions that came out of CES this past weekend. And we will be right back, because you are listening to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and thank you so much for joining me today. I have had so much fun talking about all the new and innovative technologies that have come through the pipe since the new CES was this past weekend from January 7th to January 10th. And you know, it was the first CES of the decade, and we've talked on other podcasts about trends that would be coming up in this new decade, and we talked about things that we thought would be staying in the old decade. So it was definitely a lot of fun taking a look at what is actually going to be coming out this year and how it will influence the future of technology. We talked about the sit-down Segway, which I find truly hilarious and also a little embarrassing because I definitely did say the Segways were staying in the 2010s, that it was a technology that would not be coming with us. So, you know, I put my foot in my mouth and I apologize, but I've already agreed that if a sit-down Segway tour happens in Seattle, I'll do it and I'll videotape it. I'll do the podcast on it. I'll do whatever you guys want because I definitely did predict that they would not be coming with us, and here we are. We also talked about a lot of other really new and innovative technologies that will, you know, clean water supply, filter your water to get rid of plastic water bottles, and help stroke victims with other inventions. So definitely a lot of really great inventions were released at CES this year, and also a lot of fun ones. We talked about how sex tech was banned from last year's convention, but totally dominated in this year's convention, which is surprising and amazing. And they came out with a lot of really cool tech gadgets that will hopefully help you in the bedroom. So way to go, sex tech. Now that we are back from our break, I want to quickly talk about some of the top 5, top 8 of the inventions that were released that are really cool and really innovative as well, but are a little bit more fun and a little bit more we're living in the future. And I just thought these were super cool and super cute and wanted to share them with you. So the first one is the Harman Kardon Citation Oasis. So this will be coming out in the spring of 2020, and it is a smart clock from Samsung's Harman Kardon Subsidiary, and the feature sets it apart from all of the other like home device alarm clocks that say like Google Home set my alarm for 6 a.m. because it is an Amazon Echo Dot with clock. So it's a built-in charging capabilities. So your alarm will never go dead and you won't know again. Super handy, super fun, and honestly super useful for anyone who has ever slept through their alarm clock. So I am definitely for this bit of technology being released. And you can also like pick what song you're going to wake up to all through voice command. So super cool and super fun. The Y toothbrush, this will also be coming out in the spring, but around March. And it is basically a brand new toothbrush that can brush your teeth in 10 seconds. And oh my gosh, it's not that I hate brushing my teeth, but man, does it take a lot of time. Am I right? Who has 2 minutes every morning? I'm kidding. Of course, we all, appreciate time being saved. So having this brand new toothbrush that will clean your teeth in 10 seconds is super fascinating. And it's also super funny to look at. I'm not going to lie. It is like a little denture looking retainer on top of a blue stand that you just pop in your mouth and it vibrates to clean it. If it works, I'm all for it. So definitely sign me up for a Y brush because 10 seconds to clean my teeth. I'm here. I'm all for saving time. And honestly, it'll probably cost an arm and a leg, but it looks stylish, and that's the most important thing. The Power Egg X is a camera drone from Power Vision. And I picked this one. Obviously, there were a lot of drone things coming out at CES, and drones have been out for a long time. But this one is so small and so compact, but it's also waterproof, which means you can fly this drone through a rainstorm, which I've talked a lot. I live in Seattle. It's always raining there, so having a drone that can fly through the rain and still get all of that footage and all of that droning fun available, I'm totally here for a product like this, and I think it's super fun and super great, and it'd be a ton of fun to play with. The Ergonite. The Ergonite is a headband and an app for your iOS and Android, and it is supposed to help you get a better night's sleep. It's basically just like this little machine that you put on your head, and it shows a therapy that will help your brain activity slow down a little bit to help you relax more and really get into that REM sleep. I'll link through Twitter for you can take a look at the actual science behind this. I'm going to link all of these on Twitter because I understand that there's a lot of science and stuff that goes behind it that I didn't really cover. So definitely go take a look at all that if you're interested on how this works. The Amazon Fit Home Studio. So it's actually a few different technologies all combined together, but basically it is a treadmill and it has speakers. There's a screen that comes with it. Think of the Peloton bike, but to another level, to an extreme level of Peloton bikes. Especially considering who knows what's going to happen to Peloton with their Christmas ad recently coming out. If you want to go listen to more of that, I talked about that on the GSMC marketing podcast. But the Amazon Fit Home Studio is definitely a great idea. And if you can afford it, I absolutely suggest you get it if that's something you're looking for in your life. The Juno Chiller. So I just thought this was really cool. It's definitely not, it's not helping stroke victims. It's not cleaning your water. It's not saving the environment. But have you ever forgotten to put a can of beer in the fridge and then it's warm and it's gross and you don't want to have to freeze it? The Juno Chiller just pops it in and chills it immediately. Quickly cools it, chilling any 12-ounce can you have. So super great, super fun. And honestly, we could all use this. I'm not going to lie. A lot of these products on this list is that would be nice if I could afford it, or that would be really cool if I could have access to it. But we could all use the Juno Chiller. Let's be real. So many times I waste so much time trying to chill a drink, where if this is doing it in under minutes, I'm here for it and I'm in love with it. So sign me up. The Sunuto 7. So this is basically a Apple Watch, but a little bit differently. It really has a bunch of features that will appeal to a lot of different fitness people. And it's attached to an app, of course, and it is a little bit on the chunkier side, but it is really sleek in the way that it gives heat maps to show you where you've been working out more. And I just think if you're working out and you're looking for something like this, definitely go with the newest product, because it's going to have the newest features and be really up to date and be really in sync with what you need. So definitely look for that if you're looking for a new tech watch to help you work out with. Okay, everyone, that is it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have a review of any of the podcast items if you have a review on any of the items we talked about on today's podcast, please comment down below. If you're using these products, I want to hear your thoughts on them as well. This is a two-way street. I want it to be a conversation. So definitely subscribe to this podcast, write a review down below, and reach out through social media. We are available on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I am always on there. I am always trying to talk to you guys. So definitely connect through there. Thank you so much for listening to the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll see you next time.